Okay, so this is a theory, an investment theory that could be applicable. It's interesting to say the least. Like so, for example, if there's a plot of land and if you want to form a miniature version of CES or something, for example, like in Illinois or in a Midwestern state, I would recommend GPA, Peoria, Illinois area. But there are other areas as well that this could be applicable for potentially. Anyways, the point is that instead of being so we have this theory called the area of innovation or something, and a part of the area of innovation goes along with it not the Greek squat. Now the Greeks, Roman, mostly in Las Vegas, and maybe some other places as well, but the geek, if you remove the R, the small r from that English word, you understand the geek version. So it could be a miniature version of CES for innovation, new things, and that would be a real moneymaker potentially for areas and increase tourism and things of that sort for the state of .il. With that said, there's an investment philosophy that says, let's say you're worth $1 billion, you donate $1 million. How much is that? That's like $1 or something, basically. It's less like 1%, less than 1% of your overall wealth or something like that. Let's say that if you're working a regular job like I used to, and you can save like $800 or maybe $2,000 a month or whatever, and you invest half of that into the equation, it's just as much as if the billionaire were to invest $500 million into an investment. Does that make sense? Or let's say that's the net left over. So let's bring that numbers down to size. So in other words, in the theory, there's an value of influence, right? So when it comes to valuation, there are other things to consider when it comes to what is valuable. It's not only the money, but it's also the influence. So for example, let's say during a board conversation of an investment of a formation of a company, the person who invested half of their net revenue over 10 to 15 years of their life, let's say if they're able to save $2,000 a month for the last 10 years, well, that's how much is that? That's, I don't know, that's 22 times 10, that's $220,000, and they invest half that, $110,000 into an opportunity. Well, that's called a influential, valuable effort, because really that's a frequency of belief into the idea, into the company. Somebody who's a billionaire that invests $1 million, there's a little bit of belief there, but it doesn't. It's not like all of their life force isn't involved in that investment. Does that make sense? So from an influence standpoint, let's say if you have a board, you have a billionaire on the board, you have a person who saved quite a bit of money and invested their life and their time into an endeavor. The influence value, the person who donated $1 million and the person who donated $110,000 would be basically on a similar level, but the person who donated $110,000, who saved their money and time and effort over 10 years, would actually be slightly outrank the person from a valuation of influence metric. And that's an unknown, unspoken about metric that doesn't necessarily exist when it comes to getting your MBA and things like that. Does that make sense? Anyways, until next time, over and out.